Larry, the temperature is rising in Washington, D.C., so rapidly, in fact, that we needed to do an emergency show today. How you feeling, Larry?
Well, a little puny. Excuse me for coughing in your ear. A little puny, but I'm trying.
That's okay. That's okay. I think everybody knows, like each of us, Larry, you struggle day to day, and we appreciate you coming on the show again and again to share your information, your insights, and all of that stuff with us. For people who maybe haven't watched your segment on Crowdsource the Truth before, I always like to remind everybody that I certainly couldn't do this show without Larry. When it comes to Clinton insiders that have turned the other way, there's nobody that was more inside than Larry, and if you enjoy listening to him on Crowdsource the Truth, it is very important that you visit nicholslive.com/donate and use Larry's PayPal address, nicholslive@aol.com, to send him some financial support via PayPal, or you could always stick some money in an envelope and mail it to him in Conway, Arkansas. And Larry, people who watch the show and have followed your history know that you were a very close confidant of the Clintons, even Bill Clinton himself. You were right there when his impeachment happened, and you've got insights into this process. I mean, we got to keep in mind, it's only happened 2 times before.
Well, 3 if you count Johnson after Lincoln, but yes. Jason, if I may, can I make just a personal statement to the audience, please? I think it will help clear some things up.
Sure.
Folks, I want you to know, every day of my life, I go through grief. You see, I was a part of the Clinton mob in Arkansas, a little tiny state that meant nothing to anyone. But we developed a system that was absolutely perfect. I hate to use that word, but it was. And today, when I wake up, I see that system being used in our government right now. And I have the guilt that I can't get away from. Guilt. I've got PTSD. When I wake up, I think about it. When I go to bed, I think about it. When I'm asleep, I'm dreaming and remembering. I don't come to you because I want to. I don't come to you for any other reason than to do the best job that I can, knowing that I'm a liar, scumbag, cheat, crook, everything that I am and have been. But it does not change the truth. I was there, and they're using the programs we built that I was a part of to destroy our country. So it's incumbent on me, no matter what any of you think about me, it's incumbent on me to try to tell you all the truth and help you, yes, and help me stop these people from destroying our country, because they're close to doing it, so very close. Now, Jason, I told y'all early on with this impeachment stuff, they have never intended to actually impeach President Trump, get him out of office. Trump never meant to. It's never been meant to do that. It's been meant to put a president in the middle of a campaign, re-election campaign, under the awesome cloud of an impeachment trial, hearing and trial, so that every day they can keep bringing up stuff. And now they're going through with it, just as I told y'all they would. Nobody's a fool. They know that in the Senate, unless Mitch McConnell stabs everybody in the back, of course, President Trump would come out of the Senate trial innocent. He will, because he is. But think about this. Jason, I have warned that the model, the formula, the calculus for this campaign is different than it's been for any other campaign in modern history. It's not a 40-40-20 campaign. Basically, it's a 50-50 campaign. Unique to this country. Extremely unique. what they're doing with this impeachment process going into the trial, they are doing the one thing that they know can beat President Trump that they can do it no other way. And that is to activate, fire up their soft base, make them furious to the point that they all come out and vote. You see, a 50-50 race means, well, let me say this, a 40-40-20 race is what you're all used to. That means 40% love Trump, 40% hating, 20% are in the middle. They call them the undecided vote. In typical elections, it's whoever gets the most of the undecided vote wins. Mm-hmm. This time, there won't be measurable enough undecided votes to make a difference. This vote is based off of which side can get the greatest number of their soft base out to vote, and that represents about approximately 60% of both parties' base. 40% is hard base, which means they'll vote for Trump or they'll vote for the Democrat. If it's an earthquake, they'll still vote.
Right.
But 60% are soft, and if anything comes up or any reason comes up, they'll just not go vote. They are trying to make their soft base vote. They're doing it with sweeteners, which we've talked about, Jason, you know, the programs of reparation, free health care, free college, etc.
Yeah.
And now their big move, the impeachment. Now with this, there's another thing that I have seen. I have said on this program, Hillary would not run. I'm seeing the signature of something we did all the time with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton would say he was tired, he wasn't going to run again.
Right.
And we knew he was, but we continually had people to where they begged him to run. They begged him to run. So you see, it wasn't him out of ambition. He was just trying to honor the people. They wanted him to run, so he would. Well, you're seeing that same move now with Hillary. That's why Hillary's going around and saying, you know, time and time and time again, people are calling and begging her to run. She knows what I know and what you know, Jason. If she gets in the race, it will automatically push her to the top of the pack.
Yeah.
And she sees the trick about Hillary that would make her not run is Hillary has a fetish. She'll not do anything unless it's guaranteed before she enters. With Trump under this impeachment and all this stuff happening, Hillary sees that it's a great chance that whoever is the Democrat nominee for president will become president, not because they'll vote for Hillary, but because of the 50-50. There's going to be a massive turnout in the soft base against Trump. And she wants to be the recipient of that, and therefore she would become president.
It makes a lot of sense,
well
Larry.
planned.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, people were saying that this whole, Joe Biden getting thrown under the bus was coming from Hillary.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's no doubt. I think a lot of Biden's problems. And she also knows that if they can get it into the trial, that Trump intends to slam Biden and his son.
Right.
Which further will knock him out of the ability to win.
Yeah.
So the course is laid for Hillary. It really is. And I think it may be to the tipping point to where she believes she's got that election if she gets in.
Right. Yeah,
It's scary.
Yeah, I think, Larry, perhaps I'm speaking for myself when I say this, but I think a lot of people, they look at things in terms of, large increments. In other words, playing a penny slot machine or something doesn't necessarily appeal to that many people. They want to win $1,000 or whatever it is. But when you're talking about elections and polling and this type of a presidential campaign, it really is a game of inches, isn't it? These type of incremental changes to conditions are the types of things that an expert politician like Hillary Clinton and her advisors are looking to manipulate and drive, right?
Well, it is, and it's a game of asset management. asset management and being able to make good decisions based off the assets at hand. Now, by asset management, what I'm speaking of, Hillary knows this election, they have got the mainstream media to put out the story they won't put out. No matter what, they've got that story going out, even if it's a bold-faced lie, and everybody knows that it will still be carried. And they understand with media and the American people that if you tell a lie long enough, hard enough, consistently enough, it'll become true. They've got the media. They've got the Democrats. They've got the Democrats to a fever pitch. They hate Trump. They hate Trump, hate everything about him, even amidst a booming economy, even amidst him doing what he said he would do and helping us get out of the Middle East, helping us straighten out these upside-down trade relationships, and, yes, taking a path to getting rid of the deep state. Even with all that, they hate this man with a passion. And the whole election rests on that soft base of the Democratic Party. Can they get out and vote in numbers heretofore never seen before?
And you know, Larry, I think we should say that in addition to controlling the mainstream media, they seem to control social media as well. You know, we always hear about conservatives being blocked. Laura Loomer famously kicked off of Facebook. She's got a lawsuit against them for calling her dangerous. They've allowed terrorists and jihadis to post things on Facebook and Twitter, but Laura gets kicked off. So it's a bigger control grid than just the mainstream media, which can be, you know, controlled by money, basically just hiring people and paying them a lot of money to say what you want them to say. It's pretty scary, Larry. Guys like you and I are going to be very subject to all kinds of social engineering attacks. We're just days away, not only from the report from Inspector General Horowitz, but also from these apparently very scary changes to the YouTube terms of service policy. We don't know what that's going to hold for the future of our show. People will still be able to watch us on patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth if we do get diminished or kicked off of YouTube. But this is really serious. They're obviously aware that people like Alex Jones, information sources like InfoWars were pivotal in getting Donald Trump elected, and there's been an incredible increase in the attempt to control social media since the 2016 election.
Well, and when you look at asset management, basically what President Trump has to run off of is a booming, growing economy, dynamic economy, better than it's been in a bajillion years. And then he has the internet. Unfortunately, both of those folks can be shut down at any time. Yes, the economy. You see, you have major institutional buyers in the stock market. These are the, whatever the names, the big guys. I can't even think, my mind's
huge investment banks and things like this.
Right. They've got a thing called a war room. And this war room was designed fundamentally in case there was ever another crash on the market. These institutional firms were set up to go in and buy up the market, and then the government would back 90% of any of their losses. And that way they would prop up the market and keep it from crashing again. Well, those institutional buyers, at the drop of a hat, can say, okay, and they can do a major sell-off. And in a matter of a day, this booming economy will look like it's fallen off a cliff and that it's fallen apart. And of course, then you've got the mainstream media to pile on and say, okay, see, we told you this great Trump economy was all a false economy. It wasn't real in the first place, and now it's catching up with us. So they've got the stock market where it could fall at any time at their needs. Then you've got, as you know very well, the internet. The internet, folks, is the most unbound situation we have in the country. They can basically do anything they want to do.
It's true.
And due to the clock, even if they go and shut down all conservative programs, messaging on the internet, and people get irate. And people sue. You know, reality is lawsuits would take years. This election's coming up in 300 and something days. So they are in a position to negate the major asset Trump has. It's a very, very dangerous time. And that's why I'm coming on today to tell you all this. Nobody that I know of is telling you the truth behind what's actually going on. The Republicans are in happy land. They think they've done such a great job, and they have, in slapping down these testimonies of the so-called witnesses, the hearsay.
Yeah.
They know all of it's
Terrible.
wrong. They know that the Republicans are jumping up and down about how great a hearing it was when the 3 law professors were all over Trump, and then what's his name did the best job. They're jumping up and down thinking they've got victory, and they did.
Matt
They
Gaetz.
did. But it's not the strategy.
Right.
The strategy is to keep the inquiry and the trashing of Trump a daily event. And that's why, by the way, they're going back even to the Mueller report, and they're going to be bringing things up out of it. See, this is why Mueller did what he did. I told y'all at the time, he served up the Democrats. He served it up to them when he said they didn't have enough to prove he was guilty, but they could not prove him innocent. And even in the report, Mueller said this would have to be, I'm paraphrasing, but this would have to be handled through an impeachment.
It's just so ridiculous, Larry. I mean, it's got nothing to do with the law. It's got nothing to do with the Constitution. The fact that the people of the United States are sitting by and allowing them to conduct a process that's based on the proactive exoneration of an individual by a prosecutor is so fundamentally opposed to what this country is supposed to be about. It's literally making me angry that this is continuing. I'm having a hard time dealing with some of the people that are, friends of mine that think this is a great idea, that they're impeaching Trump.
Right. Well, Jason, that's why you and I are here. Obviously, I don't feel like being here. But every breath I breathe, until I breathe my last, I will do everything I can, Jason, to make right my part of the wrong I did. And guys, I'm telling you, we're out of time. We are out of time. And as frustrated as Jason is, as I am, as most of y'all are, when you say, well, we just can't let this happen. We just can't let this happen. Well, folks, you've got to look. You've got to look at reality.
It's
what
happening.
can be done to stop it?
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah.
And what can be done to stop it? You see, there's nothing we can do, me and you, the people. We can't make Congress right now do right. We can't make the Democrats do right. They know that they're, I'm going to call it cheating, breaking the law, whatever you want to say. They know they're doing it, but they know they're so arrogant, they know there's nothing we can do. The only time we can do anything is come election time in November of 2020. And the majority of the damage will have been completed by then, unless we fix it. We.
So what do you propose, Larry? How do we do that? Yeah.
Well, it's back to maximization of assets, right, Jason? It always gets down to that. Just like in your home, we do bills, just like at a business, running your business, asset management.
Right.
We have one thing in our favor. November 2020, and this time we're in right now, is the only time in the life of a politician in Washington where we have power. Where we have power. And if they believe strong enough that if they go through with this, that they will lose their job come November. They may get Trump, but they're going home. If they understand that, we can make them move. We can make them do right. Not all, of course, but we can some. And the sum that we can make, toe the line, would be well enough to save the country. But we've got to do it. And that calls on us to get active. It calls on us to do things that some of us, most of us, probably all of us are uncomfortable with. But we're going to have to do one of the three things our founding fathers gave us in a time such as this. You know, I marveled at the law professors telling all about our founding fathers and what they intended and what they meant, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But they failed to tell you the three things the founding fathers gave us to fight just this occasion. And no, it was not the Second Amendment and guns. No. They gave us three weapons. Three. Our voice, our voices collectively, and our vote. Let me repeat them. Our voice, our voices collectively, and our vote. We have got to stop mealy-mouthing around, and we've got to seek out people that we know, Jason, people that are friends of ours, that fall into the category of soft base. You know, yeah, they're for Trump, but if it's raining, they probably won't vote.
Might forget.
Yeah, we've got to get to those people, and folks, we've got to make people understand the importance of this election, and we must make them understand that in this election, if you don't vote, if you would go vote and most probably vote for President Trump, if you don't vote, you did vote in this election. That's the trick bag we used to put people in Arkansas, and now we're in it nationwide. That's a trick. If you don't vote, you did vote. You did vote for the Democrat, whomever that is. Think about that.
Yeah. No, that's clear. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Larry. I feel pretty convinced that Hillary is going to join the race. I mean, it would obviously be the biggest news around if she did that. I'm showing everybody a picture right here of a portion of the, well, we got Kamala Harris there, so she's already fallen, but there's no one standing here for the Democrats who I think has a remote chance of beating President Trump, but I do think that Hillary Clinton could. Certainly if she was there and they cheated some more, it would at least be plausible, and all the people who hate Trump would be happy and they wouldn't want to look into it any further.
That's right. And I assure you, she and her people have run the calculus. You know, yes, maybe this late it looks like she could not have the kind of ground game, the kind of organization that you would think would be needed to defeat Trump. But that's not the case in a 50-50 election.
Yeah.
What's needed to defeat Trump is being done by the party through these impeachment hearings and trial. Everything done to beat Trump is being handled by that trial and that impeachment hearing. As a matter of fact, the mainstream media should be charged for donations to the campaign because of the way it will work.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the entire mainstream media is going to be playing an active marketing role in promoting whoever the president candidate is from the Democratic Party. They're actively going to be supporting them just as if they were running ads for them, in-kind campaign contributions.
Right.
Massive. So you see, Hillary knows she doesn't have to have this massive campaign organization and structure that you've had to have in the past.
Right.
She knows all you've got to do to win this election is get on the ticket. Get ahead of the ballot and get on the ticket.
I mean, Larry, it's obviously it's stating the obvious. There's no better known name brand in politics in the United States than Clinton. I mean, she's the, for better or worse, she's the Coca-Cola of politics right now, right?
That's right. And what better thing for the media than the return bout of Clinton and Trump doing it again?
Right.
Except this time, where Hillary made her mistakes in the other campaign by her arrogance. Her arrogance won't hurt her this time because nobody's going to be voting for her anyway. Very few are going to be voting for her. They're going to be voting to get rid of Trump.
Right.
You know, she was on what's his name's radio program.
Howard Stern.
And Howard Stern. And here she was, and she said, "I like men." And contrary to popular belief or whatever she said, I've never been with a woman. That's an out-and-out, bold-faced lie. I have told y'all over and over and over. One that comes to mind, Jason, you and I have talked about on the air before, Marky Post.
Yeah.
It's a funny story, but it's a true story. I got it from the Secret Service guys that were working there. You know, there was a racket in the presidential private quarters, and the Secret Service is never supposed to go in there without being summoned in. But they hear this racket and things breaking. So finally they get worried and they think, well, we've got to. So they just go in, and there was Bill Clinton sitting in a chair by the bed with Hillary and Marky Post in the bed. And Hillary had been throwing stuff at Bill. And what had happened, Bill saw that she was with her, and he wanted to go in and watch. And Hillary got mad and was trying to run him out. In our White House, that went on.
Yeah, I'm looking right now, Larry, at a report from the New York Post, which is talking about Gary Byrne, Secret Service agent, who's famously spoken out about the Clintons. I've interviewed Gary. He's a very forthright guy. I didn't detect any indication of deception, and as you know well, coming out against the Clintons is not a way to make money for people who would say, oh, this guy's just saying this to make money and sell books. It's a good way to wind up taking a dirt nap in Fort Marcy Park or something like that, shooting yourself in the head 3 or 4 times. So I think that Gary Byrne speaks honestly, and what he says corroborates what you're saying. This article in the New York Post describes the Clinton White House as a den of coke mistresses and other craziness. It's really quite a thing.
Yes. I mean, it's, guys, for whether it matters or not, I've told the truth about Hillary. And if you want to know where I first heard about Hillary Clinton being a, whatever you call it, lesbian, queer, whatever, was from none other than Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton told me over and over and over again, as he did Larry Patterson, who's passed away, bless his heart, Roger Perry, both of those were his top security guards when he was president, that Bill would always say Hillary got more women than he did.
Wow.
Now, is that a big thing, her having sexual stuff? You decide that.
Well, but lying about it is the issue.
Lying about it, that's the big deal.
I mean, let her be bisexual or whatever she wants to be, but you're going to tell people one thing and do another. That's not good. Now, the Daily Mail is not necessarily the most reliable source, but they did have a story here in 2016 that says a Clinton fixer claims he bought photos of Bill with TV star, scrubbed Vince Foster's office at Hillary's request, and responded to allegations that Bubba was inappropriate with Mary Hart. So this is saying the individual says that he shut down rumors that Bill was allegedly having an affair with Night Court actress Marky Post and Mary Hart of Entertainment Tonight.
Hillary. I think you said Bill was having an affair with
That's
Hillary.
right. This guy shut down the rumor that Bill was having the affair. You're saying it was Hillary having the affair.
It was Hillary. It was not Bill, it was Hillary. Now, to add credibility to me in situations like this, how can I possibly do that, right? Well, this is why I've told y'all before. There is civil slander and libel. But making the allegations that I'm making against people that were the President of the United States or wanting to be president, I mean high-profile, big people, making these kind of allegations do warrant criminal liability for slander and libel. I can't be prosecuted if I can't prove it. Now, how hard would that be for the Clintons with the control they have over the judiciary, how hard would it be for them to prosecute me?
Seems easy.
Think about it.
I mean, Larry, even if they just brought a civil suit against you with a terrible lawyer, it would right away create a financial problem that would shut down your whole world.
Yeah, except for one problem, and they know it. I've done it once, I'll do it again. I don't need to hire a grungy attorney.
Be pro se.
I'll represent myself.
Right.
And then the one thing that they are afraid of, they get me in a court of law, I get discovery.
Right.
And they know what I've got. They know what I'm holding. And they know I'm telling the truth. And they cannot risk that coming out. Now, that doesn't give me much margin of protection at all.
Right. But the method that they're using for you, Larry, is that they want to just marginalize you. If you were killed, if you were, you know, they're sort of waiting you out. I mean, sorry to be crude, but they're sort of feeling like they can push you to the fringe, have you be seen as somebody who appears on my show or InfoWars or whatever. Then they malign me, they malign other shows, they malign you, and they've got a much bigger megaphone on Howard Stern and CNN and all that.
And, you know, Jason, they have knocked me off program after program by having people calling the host, telling them all manner of things. And, you know, hosts back down. They back away. You know, that's the damage they can do. And on the internet, they can generate hundreds of calls or emails to a talk show host, giving justification why you better not have Nichols on.
Right.
And they do it.
Yeah,
and it works.
That's
ways. Why I commend you. That's why I'm here with you. You don't buckle down or cow down to that. It's not your job to stand up and prove me to be truthful or whatever. You do a good job of just letting me present my case. People, judge for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just real quick on this
all
Inquirer story, Larry. This is from 2016. This Clinton insider they're talking about, it's not you, it's somebody else, huh?
Yeah.
Do you know who this is?
Sure is. Do not. Do not. There were people, when they went, none of the people, to my knowledge, from the Arkansas team, other than me, came out, except Patterson and Perry later on. But when they went to Washington, there were people there that tried to get out the truth, but they were scared to their knees. When they got to Washington and people like Vince Foster started dying, folks, it became very hard for me or anybody else to get people to come public and talk about what they know.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you need to do is kill one big guy, and then everyone's like, holy crap, Vince is dead. Let's not say anything.
That's right. That's right.
And that was a particularly shocking death, wasn't it, Larry? Because Vince Foster was close personal friends since childhood with Bill Clinton. If you knew their organization well, even if you knew they were dangerous and even killers, the fact that they would do that to Vince Foster would send a chill up the spine of anyone who would even contemplate betraying them, because it shows clearly that they're not afraid to kill anybody.
That's right. Well, I'm not saying, once again, I'm not saying the Clintons killed him or had anything to do with it, but people that profit by the Clintons being in power take care of their own. You know, Hillary had a long-standing 12-year affair with Vince Foster. That was verified by Perry and Patterson, the security guards that took them to rendezvous that was worked at the governor's mansion when Bill would be gone and Hillary would have Vince come over. You know, they were a part of it. Mm-hmm. But then when he died, she was as cold as any person you've ever seen. As any person. Instead of showing tremendous grief over somebody that you'd had that kind of relationship, friendship, and affair with, instead of being devastated, what did she do? She went to Arkansas and had them scrub out the Rose Law Firm files and records.
Right. And that's what
And
that
if you don't believe
whistleblower guy
that,
is talking about.
and if you don't believe that, ask Jerry Steeper of the Washington Times, because I took him to the Rose Law Firm right after it happened, and we caught a guy carrying out boxes that had VF on them, and they were being taken to be destroyed.
Wow.
Boxes on dollies.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the story with the Rose Law Firm? Do you know why it has that name? Is there someone named Rose who founded it?
Yes.
Oh,
I
who's
think
that?
one of the original partners was whatever, but it grew into the head of the dynasty. It was the power center. If you wanted anything in Arkansas to go through the Arkansas legislature, guess what? The biggest, most powerful lobby force was none other than the Rose Law Firm.
It's very strange.
I represented the railroad through the Rose. I paid hundreds of dollars to state senators and state representatives to vote for policies and programs that the Rose was lobbying for. I did it. The Arkansas Gazette had a picture of me on the floor of the House legislature, or the state legislature, me holding up my right hand with $100 bills in it, waving for anybody buying their vote. After that picture came out, they changed the rules in the House, and you couldn't go on the floor if you weren't a representative.
Larry, what's this AG Heritage Farm Credit Service? That seems to be in the same building as the Rose Law Firm.
Do not know. I do not know. And I don't know if they've been there that long. I mean, they may have been there during that time, but I don't remember.
Oh, this might be like a
It's
new,
kinda weird.
right, exactly, because it's years ago that this was going on.
And the Rose Law Firm has lost most all of its power as such today.
Well,
So-
Hillary's no longer there.
But folks, we're in a battle for your country. If you can't see it now, you're either blind or you just don't want to see. You just don't want to. And what you're seeing with Schiff and Nadler, what you're seeing there is the new government. That's the way, if Hillary wins or whomever the Democrats choose, if they win, that's your new form of government. And as you've seen now with George Soros, with the district attorney in San Francisco and all the other prosecutors and judges and sheriffs that they're supporting throughout the country, they will be doing that at the microstructure as well as the macrostructure in Washington. It will be impossible for you to live in this country and go against the elite. It will be impossible.
Yeah, you know, that was really a shocking story that you were the first to bring to my attention, Larry. This guy who is the new San Francisco district attorney who was raised by Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dorn, the leaders of the Weather Underground. I mean, look, I'm guilty of this. I had no idea who the Weather Underground was, what they were up to, what they were doing until very recently. And I think that most people have no idea who they are. I certainly didn't know that this guy, Chesa Boudin, was the son of a weatherman who was in jail during the time this guy was growing up, and he was raised by Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dorn, who themselves are terrorists, mass murderers. They've set bombs, they've killed people, they've maimed police officers, and have never done any jail time. Not only that, they've both been faculty on major university staff and, you know, taught a new generation of revolutionaries, and now basically their son is the district attorney of San Francisco. That's amazing.
Well, and even more amazing is the things that he ran on by increasing the amount that people could steal that would not be considered a felony. by allowing people to defecate on the street and it not be a crime, to fix it to where they cannot force homeless people out in front of their storefronts. Those kind of things like that should have meant this person would have had no chance at all of winning. But he won. And now we know he won by going around and paying 60,000 homeless people to go vote. And he won. And Jason, they'll be doing that all over the place. All over the place, they'll be doing that.
Larry, Karen is asking us in the YouTube comments, what happens when the Clintons are dead?
Well, when they're dead, if it goes
Chelsea
by the schedule and plan that's been developed, most likely it will be more of a dynasty type situation than the government kind we know by then. So obviously Chelsea would be groomed in to take the place. But remember, it won't really matter that much who's president anymore once our fundamental government has been transformed. We will be run by an elitist group like you see with Schiff and Nadler.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Larry. It seems like we're out of this mode of once our government is transformed. It seems like it is transformed. Like the question that I have that no one's really been able to answer, maybe I've asked you this already, I can't recall. Why is Adam Schiff not, like, what does a congressperson have to do where the sergeant at arms will say, hey, you've broken the law and you're being relieved of your duty, and handcuff him and walk him out of Congress?
The sergeant of arms can have no effect over a sitting member of Congress doing his official duties. If Schiff went out of line in what he's doing, it is up to the House Ethics Committee to examine, investigate, and punish. The Ethics Committee. And of course, the Ethics Committee is controlled by Democrats. So there's no restitution we can seek through the channels of the House against his actions.
That's crazy.
Look, that's the danger of this. This thing's well put together. This thing's well planned out. And let me ask you this, Jason. Do you think it is a coincidence that when yesterday and the day before, Nadler said they had no idea what they were going to do, whether they're going to hold a hearing or whatever. Now we know the Horowitz report comes out Monday, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And all of a sudden today we find out that there's going to be a hearing in Nadler's committee on Monday. But nobody knows what's in it. They've just given the president until 5 o'clock to determine whether they'll participate in this hearing. But nobody knows what the hearing's about or what it's going to entail. But they're demanding that if he's not there by 5 o'clock saying he'll participate, then they'll go on without him.
This is ridiculous.
It's all designed.
How can Congress be giving these kind of ultimatums to the president, Larry? I mean, they got to tell him what the hearing is about.
Do they?
I don't know. Don't they?
Do they? No. No, they don't. Separation of powers. Separation of powers. This is one of those occasions when the foundational principles of our founding fathers can be used against us. The House can do whatever the House wants to do as long as the members of the House in a majority go along with it. I mean, this is...
But it's got to be a bipartisan majority, doesn't it? Like, there's so many things that Schiff has done to just change this process that it seems like, how can he do that without a vote?
Well, first off, to get a vote, he has to go to Pelosi, or someone would have to go to Pelosi and call for a vote, open floor vote, to challenge what Schiff is doing. And she'll not let it go. She will not put it on the floor. They've tried, she's refused.
But yesterday she had a major change, didn't she? A shift, you might say.
Yeah. Now she's all in, as she has been since day one. She's all in for him to start setting up this impeachment rules or the actual charges, and then it will be sent to the Senate for the trial.
How do you think they got her to move off of that original position? Seems like political suicide, no?
No, I think it's been that way since day one when I first told you they were going to do this months ago.
So she's just been setting it up, kind of acting.
Yes, yes. Just been playing to keep the moderates under control so that they didn't get the word early on that they were being set up. Well, now they're set up and they've got nowhere to go but to go forward. Jason, I told you about it. If I hadn't have told you all about it, you could say, yeah, I'm sitting here backseat quarterbacking, right? I told you all months ago.
Yep.
They do not intend to impeach the president and get him out of office. They intend to have the impeachment inquiry, the trial and all of it during the campaign. They don't believe any president running for re-election can be re-elected in the midst of an impeachment process.
But they've been wrong about everything else so far, Larry. Maybe they've underestimated Trump, and like everything else, this will just roll off his back.
Well, it all boils down to the 63 million people that voted for President Donald Trump. Will they come back again and vote for President Trump? And will those people in the Republican or the conservative or the whatever state of mind you're in, will they come out and vote in this election? Will the independents, will they come out and vote? Will they see the wrong being done and actually stand up and vote? And maybe they don't like Trump, but God help us. Hopefully, even though they may not like Trump, surely to God, they hate seeing our country fall to this level.
I would hope.
Of, whatever you want to call it, this level of evil, whatever, enough to come out and vote for him.
Now, Larry, we got a couple questions.
To that regard, I do kind of hope Hillary gets in, because Hillary still has the power to make a lot of people that might not like Trump, but they sure as hell would not vote for Hillary. So there might be a chance with her getting in the race, we can get those people activated enough to go vote.
Kingsley Kenmore is telling us that Webb Hubbell was mysteriously found dead on a park bench in Washington, D.C. I didn't know that. Is that true?
I don't know. I don't believe that's true. I'd be surprised if it is. I know nothing about it.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that he was dead. That's the first I've ever heard about that. So, Larry, the other thing that people are saying in the comments, and I've heard this quite a bit before, I don't know too much about this, but we sometimes see the American flag depicted with this gold fringe around it. What do you think that indicates?
Well, the gold fringe around the flag is going back to a constitutional government. That's a naval thing, and I can't
Admiralty law, right? Something like that?
Yeah, right, yes.
I think that
that's all I know about it, guys.
Yeah, I think people are not so happy about that. They think that it means that it's some different allegiance than to the actual Constitution in the United States of America. I also noticed that Nancy Pelosi was wearing like a lapel pin that was incredibly big compared to what these lapel pins usually are. And that also had a gold fringe American flag on it.
Well, if she's got a gold fringe on hers, then it ain't good, guys.
Exactly. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask you about is that you're telling us that, this all basically hinges on Mitch McConnell not stabbing the president in the back. Why should we have any confidence that that'll happen? I would expect he would stab Trump in the back.
Well, that's what's scary, but I am being told, take it for what it's worth, I'm being told that he is supposedly going to honor the Graham motion to hold the Senate in the manner of jurisprudence or in the manner of the court. So if he'll do that, then this trial stands a chance of being fair. And that could backfire on the Democrats. That's our hope anyway. Our hope is that if, even with the media slanted the way it is, that if we have a Senate trial against President Trump, the media will cover it floor to floor. I mean, minute to minute, it'll be on 24/7. And then the American people will see the actual evidence brought forth by the president's attorneys and see the case is stupid. And maybe, just maybe, convince people, you know, especially if they can force Schiff to testify, which they intend to do, especially if they can force this whistleblower person to come forward.
He absolutely should be forced to do that. All these guys should.
Right. Well, and that's the reason Trump is so adamant and has been that he wants this Senate trial. Right now, all people hear of these inquiries are the Democrats' kind of trial in these hearings.
Right.
There's nothing but bad stuff uncontested.
Yeah.
Now, if they have a trial and if McConnell stays with Lindsey Graham's motion, then we have a chance for the American people to see the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
But remember, even with that in front of their eyes, they will be told they're not seeing what they're seeing.
Right. And well, you know what you get when you have Lindsey Graham, Billy Graham, and Roger Clinton in the same room, right?
Yeah.
Almost 3 grams. Now, in the good news for somebody section, Bob Hubbell is still alive. He was not found dead on a park bench. He's 71 years old, and I think he's still around writing books and stuff, no?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he's not
As a matter of fact, he's living in a house given to him once he got out of prison by Jack Stevens.
Whoa. So he lives in Arkansas still.
Quite well, he lives.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, see, that seems to be the way you go. Like, I feel like, Larry, at a certain point, somebody comes and talks to, pick the name, Christopher Ruddy, whoever it is, and they say, well, look, you know, you can go the way you're going and your life will be like Larry Nichols, or you can drop all this business about Vince Foster and we'll buy you a news station and you can run Newsmax or something like that.
Mm-hmm. You know, Jason, your audience doesn't know this, but early on when Bill Clinton was running, David Watkins came to my home. They were in a white van, and he brought me a certified check for $1 million.
Wow.
Handed it to me in my front yard.
Wow.
And I had to sign an agreement. And believe it or not, folks, I was going to take that million. I was going, my wife, everybody was telling me to take it. I was going to take it. Mm-hmm. But in the contract, if it would have said, and I told them, if it would just say, I'm dropping everything and, you know, just leaving it alone, I would have done it. But I had to come out and say that I had lied about all the things I was saying about the Clintons.
Right.
I refused to do it. Now, some of you out there don't believe that story. I understand.
I believe it,
Larry. It just happened to have been, that day, a preacher and his couple of men with him here from Ohio, his name was Pastor Ernie Sanders, to witness it.
I believe you, Larry,
I got back
because
and my life went to hell ever since.
Right, and you see, that's exactly the same play that they're attempting to do with me. They are doing it through lawsuits rather than million-dollar checks, however, but the idea is they want this financial leverage over you, and they want the end result to be that you admit that you were lying. See, if they kill you, there will always be this open question where there'll be a huge number of people who believe that what you're saying is true. I believe what you're saying is true. But if you came out and made some official statement that, hey, that was all made up to write a book or something, they will always refer to that anytime it comes up, and that becomes the definitive thing. They're lawyers. They like to officiate things in contracts and affidavits and proceedings in court, because that way, whatever you say, whatever I say, they can always point to, well, here was the finding. And it's amazing. The same person I've made reference to you about this argument I had over Thanksgiving, years ago, we were talking about Vince Foster. And he refused to address any of the points I had raised about evidence pertaining to the gun being made up of two different serial numbers, the blood being running, dried blood running in 4 different directions on his face, carpet fibers found on his clothing. Didn't want to talk about any of that evidence, kept referring back to the official findings. And I think a lot of people can't get past this understanding that this is exactly what they attempt to manipulate. They want to get the coroner in there that they control, the prosecutor in there that they control, the district attorney that they control, and then they get an official finding that corroborates the false story that they want people to believe.
That's right. And in Vince Foster, I produced, it's on the internet somewhere, you can find it, the actual Secret Service memo. Now, folks, this is the actual confidential Secret Service memo that's supposed to be in the Library of Congress still. I doubt it is. But it says from the people that found Foster's body, that found him in his car in the parking lot of Fort Marcy Park, that there was a 6-pack of Arlen James wine cooler in the front seat, passenger seat. One had been opened and drank. The gun was in the car. His briefcase was in the back seat floorboard, and they checked the briefcase and it was empty. And he turned it over to the head of security there at the White House. That's the actual memo. Now tell me how that could be a typo.
How do I find that? How do I find that memo, Larry? It's Vince Foster Secret Service memo?
Yep.
Hard to
it
find.
It should be out there. If you don't, I'll find it for you.
Yeah, we should definitely try to get that. Maybe I have it.
But I mean, think about it, folks. They just brushed it off as being a typo. Now, damn it.
A typo?
That, come on, get real. The highest ranking official, second to John F. Kennedy, to be assassinated. And that memo actually existed. It was the true memo provided to the White House Chief of Security from the Secret Service that found, from the Park Police that found the body. And they claimed it was just a typo. And there's quite a bit of difference, a huge variation between him being found in his car in the parking lot of Fort Marcy Park than at the side of a burn by a cannon.
Yeah. That seems like a message in and of itself, doesn't it? Well, I can't find it offhand. We'll have to do some searching around to find that thing.
I think it was 361. I think was the actual number applied to it, or official document number 361, I believe. But I can find it and get you a copy of it. For what it matters, you just need to see that it actually did exist, does exist, but it doesn't matter. Guys, am I better off, Jason, by not taking the $1 million, claiming some level of honor, by not being willing to say I lied? And look at me today. Or would I have just been better off to take the $1 million, lied, and then lived happily ever after, which would have benefited my family more?
You got to do what you feel is right, Larry.
Well, to this day, I hope I would do it again. I hope I would. And I assure you, if Hillary runs and I'm allowed to keep breathing, I will be the nemesis I have been to the Clintons since day one, And I will do everything in my power to make sure she and these people do not take our country away. But with that, I do want to say, folks, I have nothing. I'm one man, one little man. I don't have, people call me all the time, and I answer the phone, and they go, oh my God, it's you. And I'm going, well, who did you think you'd get? Well, I thought I'd get your staff. I don't have a staff. I live or don't live with the help of people. And if I'm out to do anything, it's simply to do whatever I can till the day I die to make up for something I did. I don't think any of you have ever done anything to that magnitude so that you can truly understand the weight. But that's why I ask y'all for help. As embarrassing as it is, as humiliating as it is, making me resort to begging like a bum on the side of the road.
But you're not, Larry.
There was a time, Jason, when I was just as proud as any of y'all. Not anymore. But I have to have help. And I hope people will see one person can make a difference. One. But you got to try. And you've got to fight. And you can never assume, no matter who you are out there, never assume that your voice, talking to some friend, not with Dodge family, but talking to some friend or associate, and just telling them how to find this program. Tell them how to find this program. Would it be too much to ask in the beginning for them to come to this program for at least 1 hour a week on Tuesdays? Would it be too much to ask just to hear something that they might want to hear? Try it. And maybe if they come once, Jason, they will come back. And then if they come back, maybe they'll listen to the other programs in your network.
Yep.
That's not hard, folks, but it's very important. We have to get the word out. Look, Jason, nobody has told you, nobody has told a soul in this audience the reality of what's going on with this impeachment trial and all this stuff the way I did today. Nobody has told you what this is all about other than me. And I doubt any of you are going to hear anybody explain it like I've done today or tried to do today on Fox or anywhere. You're not. Because they don't know. They don't know. I do. I know what all this is about. I know how they're going to do it. Half the people in Washington, the people in Trump's administration, his campaign team, half of them don't even believe in the new model of 50-50. They're still running in the 40-40-20. And if you do, you're destined to lose.
Well,
so help me, please. And
what
help
I'd like,
this program.
Sorry to interrupt you, Larry, but what I'd like to add is you are not begging. You are letting people know that this is a new model of delivering information and news. We aren't advertising. We don't have, McDonald's and Exxon and other people buying ad space and buying ad time. We're not monetizing these videos on YouTube, which would equate to having Google be the sponsor. We're relying on the individual sponsorship of viewers, micro sponsors out there. And we've got, Larry, over 1,000 people listening to you right now, almost 1,100. And if even a small percentage of those people would get onto PayPal and use Larry's Nichols Live at AOL.com PayPal address to send them even $5, it would have virtually no impact on the individual, but it would make a big difference for Larry. And that is the way this show is sponsored. People take it upon themselves, if they appreciate this information and if it's important enough to tune in and listen. Surely it's as important as buying a newspaper or a cup of coffee or an extra large fries or whatever it is that you might get, instead of having that third, fourth, or fifth beer tonight when you go out with your friends. Set aside $5, $10, $25, send $100 to Larry, He needs your help and support. He's providing a show here that's providing you with entertainment, and this is how we're trying to make it work. I've done this throughout Crowdsource the Truth to create a business model that removes the big moneyed interests from news delivery. We don't want somebody coming up on the lawn with $1 million certified check to pay somebody to lie. I'd rather have $1 from 1 million different people who appreciate the fact that we're searching for and doing our best to deliver the truth. And Larry, to the extent that you assist me in doing that, I have to thank you tremendously. You've worked with me to create really a wonderful show here on Crowdsource the Truth, and I, for one, really appreciate your experience and insights. The knowledge that you have of this incredibly complex political chess game that plays out every 4 years in Washington, D.C. is invaluable. So I hope that people will sponsor you on PayPal.com with Nichols Live at AOL. And Larry, I'm looking forward to our conversation on Tuesday. I hope you'll have a great weekend. Anything else you wanted to say before we wrap it up?
Well, I do want to say thanks to the people that have sent support, both PayPal and in the mail, some have. And I truly appreciate it. And some of you have requested for me to send something back, folks. It's very difficult for me to do that. So I try sometimes, but you just have to understand my condition and such is so that it's just hard. But I do get your mail. I do get your messages and what you sent. I do, and I appreciate it very, very much. And Jason, again, I have to say this. Folks, if I know how hard it is, especially now around Christmas time, to have money left over to help. And if it's down to you can send to me or to Crowdsource the Truth.
Send it to Larry. Nope, I'm stopping you right there. I'm stopping you right there, Larry. I'm not letting you finish. The Christmas money goes to Larry, everybody. I'm not letting you finish that sentence.
This program means more to me than that. So, Jason, thank you for letting me come on. And folks, we're going to be talking about things. There will never be any BS here. I won't send you off on some rabbit trail with some conspiracy theory. What you'll hear here will be true to the best that I know it. And what I tell you here with Jason, I assure you will come to pass, including the things that we can do to stop it. But you have to listen, and you have to get engaged.
Yeah.
This is your country as much as Jason's and mine. You've got to fight for it just like we are.
I appreciate what you're saying tremendously, Larry. And in closing, I just want to let you know that Beth on Periscope is telling us that the gold fringe equals 100 miles off the coast Admiralty law jurisdiction. It's confusing that such a flag would be presented there in the House of Representatives, but I don't know what to make of that. Larry, great show today. Looking forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Stay well, have a good weekend, and we'll chat with you next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, buddy. Thank you all.
And thanks, everybody, for watching. Stay with me. I'm going to be back in just under an hour at 3 p.m. Larry Klayman is now representing George Zimmerman, historic $100 million lawsuit filed against the Trayvon Martin family. You're not going to want to miss that show. See everybody in an hour. Thanks for watching.